he said. Since we had knocked out so much music before even inking the deal, he wanted people to see us with the cars and know we were signing a G Unit. I didn't know what to say. 50 was giving us 2 Porsches. I just said thanks. As soon as I got up off the phone with him, I raced back to the studio to tell Havoc what 50 told me not to tell him. Just like 50, I couldn't hold it in. Hav was hyped. The one-of-a-kind special order Porsches will be delivered in a week. Do you know how to drive stick shift? 50 asked. No, I said, but I would damn sure learn fast. I practiced in a Honda Prelude before picking up my keys and insurance card from 50's accountant right next to Long Island Jewish Hospital. I drove my brand spanking new silver 911 Turbo S Series with black leather interior to the studio to see Hav's white GT3 and compared it to. Hav's Porsche was very rare, only 100 made in America. My car was making so many females stop and look that I called the turbo hoes on each side pussy hoes. I was in love with my Porsche with the pussy hoes. The next morning, I woke up to the sounds of Alchemist making beats. I felt weird living with Al because I didn't want to be a burden. So I swept the floor and kept things as neat as possible. After cleaning, I searched the web for information about the Illuminati, secret government, UFOs, and the origin of race and religions. I became a real internet junkie staying with Al. Eventually, I forced myself to turn off the computer and drove to the Queen studio. Fly, Hav, and Nice were there when I arrived. Nice was a rapper from Southside Jamaica, Queens, who'd been renting our studio whenever we weren't using it. Hav took a liking to him and wanted to sign him. It took me a while to get used to new people, and Hav kept new faces popping up. That Monday, Mobb Deep's new lawyer, Evan Freifeld, called saying he got a deal memo from 50's lawyer. The contract was a 2-album deal, with a little over $1 million advance for Hav and me to split, and a merchandising deal for clothing, 70% for us, 30% for G Unit. It was a regular artist deal, meaning we got 19 points for each album sold. That's about 89 cents to $1 per album. If we signed the deal, we would be going on 2 back-to-back major tours, Eminem's Anger Management and 50's Massacre Tour. Plus, we would be on the movie soundtrack for 50's flick, Get Rich or Die Trying, going to premieres around the world. We signed on the dotted line real fast. A few weeks later, 50 threw a big party at his crib in Connecticut. My cousin JM, 40 Glock, Majesty, E-Money Bag's younger brother Reem, and I took the 2-hour drive, smoking 6 blunts along the way. Hav followed a few hours later. 50's driver, Bruce, let us in. Wow. 50 had transformed Mike Tyson's crib into a palace with like 6 living rooms, 6 kitchens, 17 bedrooms, a club, a strip club, pool tables, racquetball court, indoor and outdoor basketball courts, indoor and outdoor pools and jacuzzis, lake, waterfall, dirt bike and 4-wheeler track, a studio, gym, sauna, movie theater, elevator, and shooting range. 50 told me I could have any bedroom I wanted, except for his, of course, and that I could stay there whenever I wanted. 50's personal chef came over to me. 50 told me to tell you, this house is yours, he said. Anything you want, I'll cook it for you, anything you need. We partied all night and kicked it with our new label mates, Tony Yayo, Lloyd Banks, and Young Buck. They embraced us like family. Then we took the long drive back home. 50 called the next morning and told me to get ready for the U.S. run of Eminem's Anger Management Tour, which would be followed by his Massacre Tour. He then told me that he would be at the G Unit office later. Alchemist's crib was a block away from the G Unit office, so I walked over there all the time. People at the office must have been like, damn, P's here a lot. Havoc only made special guest appearances every blue moon. Where's Hav? Yayo and 50 always asked. "What's up with Hav?" "Making beats," I said. And I wasn't lying. Havoc was in the studio like a lab rat, 24 hours a day. Otherwise, he had somebody's chick drinking Hennessy and putting her legs behind her head. I was trying to stay close with our new crimies, the unit. I didn't want to miss a beat. Diamond District Jewelers came to the office offering 50 gifts he didn't even want. When he brushed them off, Yayo and I befriended them and got free shit. I bought jewelry and clothes to Havoc at the studio in Queens. He'd ask how I get it all, and I told him he needed to come around to the office more often. He needed to be in the mix in order to reap the benefits. 50 announced to the public that along with Mobb Deep, he was signing another hardcore rap duo, M.O.P., the Mash Out Posse from Brownsville, Brooklyn. Mobb Deep and M.O.P. started our careers at the same time, both signing to Island 4th and Broadway back when we put out Juvenile Hell. When Loud Records briefly merged with Relativity Records in 2002, Mobb Deep and M.O.P. were label mates. We had a hit record with Hey Love featuring 112 from Infamy, and M.O.P. had their hit Ante Up from their album Warriors. Now here we were together again in 2005 on G-Unit Records. The week before we went on tour, we shot the music video for Out of Control, a remix to a song produced by Dr. Dre originally on 50's Massacre album. It was our first Dr. Dre beat. M.O.P. made a cameo appearance in the video. 50 made a bunch of t-shirts that read Mobb Deep, G-Unit, Game Over. G-Unit reminded me of Mobb Deep because of how hard they worked in the studio making quality music. Tupac also reminded me of our work ethic. It seemed like he had an endless amount of songs. Anybody could push themselves to make 1 million songs. But are they good songs? Most people make 1 million pieces of shit. Our music, our songs, are works of art, not fast food. Our shit is home cooking. The day we left for the world tour, I couldn't wait to get on stage and feel the crowd's response on opening night, July 11th in Chicago. I hadn't been nervous before getting on stage in a long time, but this was major. Mobb Deep, M.O.P., Eminem, Lloyd Banks, Yayo, Young Buck, and 50 all had our own buses. Each bus wrapped with pictures of our faces on them. I noticed that 50's face wasn't on there. He was really using his power to promote his artist. I think Olivia rode in 50's bus. I wondered, why is 50 wasting money on Olivia? She was garbage and not very good looking. Sorry, yo. She never had a hit record, so what was the purpose? 50 could have had any R&B female he wanted, but for whatever reason, he chose her. Strange. But I paid it no mind. I figured 50 would realize sooner or later who's pulling weight and who's not. A few of our people joined us on the road. Twin, 40 Glock, Nice, and Hav's Uncle La. Alchemist was Eminem's DJ, so he had a bus with a few of M's boys. Often, Eminem and 50 flew in private jets to the next state. Sold out arenas every night. We stayed at the Ritz-Carlton in every state, top of the line. We were on a strict schedule. The road manager would call, and we would have to be in the lobby on time or get left. 50 Yayo and Banks had their own bulletproof trucks with drivers who met us in the next state or followed the tour buses which drove from city to city in a pack. I gotta get me one of them armored trucks, I thought. At the arena, we'd be in the G-Unit dressing room blasting music, flooding the room with weed smoke, and drowning in Hennessy. 50 didn't smoke or drink, so he needed his own separate room. He had a private chef and a catering service. The best food, of course, was in 50's dressing room. I made my way to his room for a nice steak dinner every chance I got. He never minded me coming over to grub with him. Stylists outfitted us in tons of clothes, fitted hats, sneakers, boots, tees, socks and drawers, all G-Unit brand. Y'all know the infamous Mobb Deep, right? 50 introduced us on the stage every night, the crowd screaming. Mobb Deep did 3 songs in the middle of 50's set: Shook Ones, Quiet Storm, and Out of Control. I worried that I might bust my ass coming down the steps from the tall scaffolding as we took the stage. I held on tight to the railing while walking down a spiral staircase every night. After our work was done, Twin, Nice, 40 Glock and I would walk into the crowd to fuck with the fans and the females, signing autographs and posing for pictures. Alchemist would be upset that while we were in the crowd getting all the girls to bring backstage, he was setting up to get on stage with Eminem. So Al started going in early. He'd be in the crowd while we were on stage with 50. Alchemist brought our boy Ron Gotti from Queensbridge to help assist him with equipment. It felt good to have all us together on such a big tour. Have, Twin, Gotti, Alchemist, Nice, 40 Glock and me. Our crew was veterans when it came to touring and swooping up the ladies to take backstage or to the hotel. With 12 years of seasoned game under our belts, we knew exactly what to say and what to do, and we called ourselves vultures. The G-Unit crew was animals just like us, so we came up with a name for them: hyenas. Some nights, we bumped heads going after the same females. "It's the vultures versus the hyenas," Twin said one night, and I fell out on the floor laughing. You know the vultures won, 'cause we fly. Nah, but when the hyenas felt like they might lose a girl to the vultures, they would use their secret weapon. 5 words. 50 wants to see you. It was over after that. We called that cheating. 50 didn't want to see shit. They just said that to get them to the room. It's all good. We had a lot of fun all over the United States and every major city on the map. A crew of 6 females in Florida got on our tour bus and followed us halfway across America, hopping off in Texas somewhere after we had our fun with them. They didn't know how they were getting back home and didn't care. We damn sure didn't neither. A couple of dudes, whom I won't name, would pay for groupies to fly or bus back home. We called them Care Bear thugs. If I named them, they would get their vulture wings or hyena tails clipped. If the G-Unit crew caught one of their hyenas being a Care Bear, they would subpoena him to hood court, and he would have to stand trial in front of everybody, then get judged by a jury of hyenas. At the hotel after the show, instead of fucking with chicks, I would often go to the studio truck, where 50 was always working on the Get Rich or Die Trying movie soundtrack. 50 never fucked with chicks after the shows. He's strictly business. It took a real bad chick to get his attention. 50, Yayo, Banks, Buck, and I put the most work in up in the studio truck, along with Spider Lope, an L.A. Crip who joined Buck for his 15-minute set every night. It's crazy that G-Unit had an L.A. Crip down with them, and Mobb Deep had an L.A. Crip also, 40 Glock. One night at the hotel, 50 told me that he was going to sign Mace and bring him on tour. Mace was dope when he first came out as Murder Mace on songs with DMX and Cameron. But now? Personally, I wasn't feeling the idea, but I figured 50 knew something I didn't. I felt 50 was watering down the power we would have if it was just Mobb Deep and G-Unit. Powerful Queens hood music, consistent and invincible. After about 15 shows, we went to New York for a week-long break. 50 had his 8-year-old son Marquise with him on tour, so I figured I'd bring my 9-year-old son Shaka with me when the break was over. Shaka was open when I told him he was coming with me. The Out of Control remix was getting a lot of video and radio play, but I was starting to hear a lot of hatred because Mobb Deep signed with G-Unit. Fans approached me in the streets asking, "Why did y'all sign to G-Unit? Y'all Mobb Deep, y'all don't need 50. I read similar comments on the internet and in magazines. But true Mobb Deep fans should have been happy that their favorite group was still active after 15 years, making big deals, writing rhymes, and crafting beats that were timeless. I don't care if it's on G-Unit, B Unit, 3 Unit, Loud, Sony, Koch, or Nuts in Your Mouth Records. We do what we do, wherever we decide to do it. But I understood how the fans felt. They wanted to see us as independent label owners, not employees. I felt the same way. But Havoc didn't want that, and I was being loyal to my partner. We were making a lot of money and doing what we loved, so hey, there was really nothing to complain about. After the 1-week break, our crew met on 27th Street and 11th Avenue and got back on the tour bus. Kiki's 15-year-old cousin, Man Man, came along so he could keep an eye on Shaka while we went to the after parties. Man Man and Shaka had never been on a tour bus before, so I taught them the number one rule. No shitting in the bus bathroom. You also had to sleep on the bunk with your head to the back of the bus, because if you face the front, you might break your neck if the bus stopped short. The kids usually stayed up front watching movies or playing PlayStation. At the Ritz, I taught the kids their next lesson. No food from the minibar. No $10 candy bars. When we got to the arena, I introduced Shaka and Man Man to 50. 50's son wasn't on tour anymore. He'd gone home for a few weeks. Afterwards, 50 told me that my son walked up to him and said, "My dad said we were going to be rich one day. Now I believe him." Mace joined the tour. Mace hung out in 50's room doing push-ups and sit-ups. 50 tended to have that effect on people. At showtime, I brought Shaka to the side of the stage to get a good look. I instructed Shaka and Man Man to hold their ears during the explosion in the beginning. When it was Mobb Deep's turn, Shaka was damn near on stage with us, watching in the background. This was his first time seeing me perform, and there were like 40,000 people screaming and singing his father's songs. I was happy he got to see that. After we finished, Mace came out shimmying, doing his famous dance. It looked like Puffy was going to hop out of nowhere saying, "Take that, take that, take that." The crowd loved it, but the vultures and the hyenas were backstage mimicking it. "Take that, take that." I felt like walking up to 50 and asking him, why? But I didn't. I was happy to have a great position and enjoy it with my son and my friends. Man Man and Shaka started roaming around the arena with the sons of Lil Fame and Fox from MOP. They were hopping gates and disrespecting the security and arena personnel. When people told them to stop running around before they hurt themselves, they say, "This is my dad's show," and keep wilding. After roaming around in the crowd, I caught up with the little terrors and saw them jumping over a 3-foot gate without using their hands. "Don't bust your face open and ruin yourself," I warned Shaka. "Your tour will be over after that." That made him relax. 50 told me he would watch my son at the hotel while we went to the after parties. I didn't want to impose on his privacy, but he said it wasn't a problem. He never went to the after parties anyway. Everybody in G Unit liked my son. Shaka's a good kid with a fun personality, always joking and play fighting. DJ Who Kid would DJ the after parties for extra money, and promoters gave us free bottles of everything while we acted damn fools standing on all the chairs and tables going crazy to our music and enjoying the women. Our job was to leave an impression in every state, make people say, "The Mobb Deep G Unit boys is wild." When I walked into 50's room at the hotel to get Shaka after an after party, I smelled something burning. This little fool was cooking the complimentary fruit on the coffee pot hot plate. 50 didn't know what was going on because he was knocked out sleeping. At 4 a.m., this little boy was starting a damn fruit fire. I cleaned up the mess and took Shaka back to our room where Man Man was knocked out. Shaka's crazy. He must have been tired and delirious doing that crazy shit. 50 had a tattoo artist on the tour who would tattoo people up every day. I decided to get G Unit on my hand, like Yayo, Banks, Buck, 50, and the team. 50 made me feel real comfortable like I was a brother. I felt like part of the family. When I showed Havoc, he was bugging like, wow. I didn't show anybody else. Backstage before the show the next night, 50 looked at my hand and did a double take. P, let me see your hand, he said. Oh, shit, okay. Later that night, after the show, everybody had chicks at the hotel except for me. I was wandering around the hotel looking for everybody, but they were all busy in their rooms. I took a walk to the studio truck, but only the engineer was there. So I walked over to the tour bus with the light shining through the windows and climbed inside, and what I saw shocked the hell out of me. 50 was getting a tattoo. I stepped in to get a closer look. Mobb Deep, enclosed in a semicircle, our logo, inked in black on his wrist. I was stunned. I didn't know what to say. I chilled there for 5 minutes, then went back to my room. As I laid in my bed trying to drift off, I thought about how glad I was that I got the G-Unit tattoo first without telling anyone. It was an official gesture of loyalty, and 50 did the same. The next day, Havoc got a G-Unit tattoo when I told him that 50 got Mobb Deep. A lot of so-called fans said that I was sucking 50 for getting a G-Unit tattoo. They shut the fuck up when they found out he got Mobb Deep. A lot of people wanted Mobb Deep to be fraudulent so bad. Sorry to disappoint you, but the infamous Mobb Deep are some of the realest in rap music. We create while other rappers steal, acting as if we don't exist so you won't discover where they got it. I call them closet fans. Our next stop on tour was Virginia Beach. The clear, sunny skies felt like the tropics when we arrived. We had plenty of time to kill before the show. I took the boys for a walk on the boardwalk to enjoy the scenery and the weather. I noticed my son and Man checking out the girls their age around the hotel and started giving them pointers on how to approach females and start a conversation. Then I would test them. I hadn't had the official birds and bees combo with Shaka yet, but I could see that it was time. There was a pretty little girl checking into the hotel with her parent, so I told Shaka to try his skills on her. I saw a purple flower in a small landscaping pot, and I told him to pick it out and give it to her. To my surprise, Shaka wasn't scared at all. He stepped right to his business and started talking to the girl. Shaka walked back to where I was standing, cheesing. I gave Man a couple of condoms and told him to practice safe sex if it happened to come down to that. Better safe than sorry. I had a radio interview with 50, so I left Man with the spare room key and told him to be safe. In the hotel hallway, after the radio show, I saw Shaka and Man strolling in the complimentary hotel robes and slippers talking about, "What up, player?" like they were two Hugh Hefners in the Playboy Mansion. I asked them where they were coming from, and they said, working out in the hotel gym with Mace. I asked them if Mace spoke to them, and they said, nah, he didn't say much. They said they were running on the treadmill and stationary bike, then they hit the pool and jacuzzi. Some of the G-Unit members told me that Shaka and Man had a couple of groupies in the room. The kids told me nothing happened, though. That night at the show, Man and Shaka were signing autographs for young girls on their pant legs and back pockets of their jeans. These little dudes thought they were superstars. Shaka was telling people that Man was his security guard. Man looked older than his age, so it was believable. We were having the time of our lives. 6-star hotels, cream of the crop groupies, flights in G5 private jets, traveling professional studio, radio and TV shows, the best food, weed, and no sleep. Well, maybe a little. It seemed like every day we had 30 magazine interviews, 4 radio shows, and 20 video interviews. Havoc always hated doing press. Getting him to do interviews was like pulling wisdom teeth, so I did a lot by myself. I love doing press. Although constantly being asked the same question and repeating the same answers did become annoying, I try to just have fun with it. After Virginia Beach came Atlanta, Orlando, Minneapolis, Denver, Salt Lake, then Dallas. In Atlanta, we were running late from a radio interview before the concert, and there was bumper-to-bumper traffic on the highway heading towards the arena. The Atlanta police escorted our 7-car motorcade on the shoulder, bypassing the traffic. At the arena, Gotti, Alchemist, Twin, and I were outside smoking haze in the patio area when 40 dudes with CTE, Corporate Thugs Entertainment, and Snowman t-shirts and blue bandanas bogarted their way through the back entrance, smoking cigarettes, weed, and swigging on big gallons of liquor. Who the fuck is these niggas? Gotti, Al, Twin, and I wondered. Seeing 15 Snowman tees, it clicked in my head that it was Young Jeezy and his crew. Young Jeezy walked through the gate in shades and a blue rag covering his face under his hat. I realized that Young Jeezy and his team were claiming Crip. That was new to me. Atlanta Crips. I didn't know if 50 had invited them, but they were cool with Young Buck, and the way they bogarted their way inside reminded me of Mobb Deep. 30 minutes later, 50 flew on stage with a loud explosion, and once again it was on. After 50 set, Buck came out chest naked, lit a blunt in hand, doing his usual Buck Marley set and marijuana tribute with Spider Loc. Buck suddenly stopped and called Young Jeezy onto the stage. Havoc, Shaka, Man, and I watched from the side stage TV monitor, waiting for our turn to perform. Jeezy performed a few songs, and Buck brought his set to a close. Jeezy and his team bounced, and Buck walked over to the side stage wardrobe where 50, Yayo, and Banks were getting ready to hit the stage. 50 grabbed Buck by the arm crazy tight and screamed at him. "You ever pull some shit like that again, I'm gonna send your dumb ass home. The fuck is wrong with you?" Buck just kept quiet. Buck hadn't even asked 50 if Jeezy could perform, and Jeezy did more songs than he was supposed to do, when he really wasn't supposed to do anything at all. Jeezy played Young Buck. That was the first time I saw Young Buck do some dumb shit. After the show, some G-Unit members were arguing with Young Buck and his Nashville crew. A fight almost broke out, and it was tense for the next couple of shows. After about 25 shows on Eminem's anger management tour, we arrived at the last venue, Detroit's Tiger Stadium. It was the perfect way for Eminem to end his tour, in his hometown. For the first time on the whole tour, I told Alchemist I wanted to kick it with Shady. In Shady's dressing room, M's hype man, Proof, from D12, was sitting on a couch, smoking a strange-looking red cigarette. "You want to try one of these?" he asked, offering me one of the strange-smelling smokes. "They're Japanese cigarettes." I figured, what the hell, I'll take a toke. It was the most horrible flavor in the history of tobacco, like a rolled-up shit turd. That was my first and last time kicking it with Proof. He was murdered in a Detroit club the following year. He was a cool dude. Inside Al's bus, which was notches above the luxury of Mobb Deep's bus, Atlanta rapper Little Scrappy and his homeboy were smoking heavy. Scrappy's homeboy had sickle cell too, so we talked about it for a while. In between the parked tour buses, crunk rapper Little John was cooking chicken on a barbecue grill. Little John and Scrappy opened the show every night, then Sierra, then 50, then Shady. Little John cracked open a tall can of beer and guzzled half of it. He put a whole chicken on the grill with seasoning. Little John looked over at us and said, "After you drink some of the beer, you stuff the beer can up the chicken's ass and prop the chicken upright so that it's sitting on the beer can. Then you let it cook and let the beer steam get all inside the chicken for flavor. You have to let it marinate." Little John cracked open another beer and in a proper tone, as if he was hosting a cooking show, said, "I usually use this time to have me another beer whilst we wait." Wow, a crunk cooking lesson. We walked away shaking our heads. Little John offered us some of the chicken, and that was our